I was trimming some trees this weekend, and I dropped a branch that was probably a little bigger than I should have tried to do with this little arborist saw. This is just a little Dolmir 3410. There's probably a 6-inch branch, and it was a little big, and it ended up popping the chain off. And what happens when you pop the chain off on a saw lots of times is these little tabs right there that run down in the bar that guide the chain like that, they will get nicks as the chain jumps around on the drive gear in here. And when those get nicks and they don't go back in the bar properly, and show you here, there's a couple that got nicks in them. Right there. That one's got a pretty good nick in it. As you can see, that one does not want to go back into the bar, so you gotta file those down to be able to keep using the chain. Otherwise, the saw is pretty much worthless until you get those filed back down to be able to keep using it. So right there's that drive sprocket. That's what the chain will drives the chain, and when the chain pops off, it'll be out of alignment with the bar and the drive sprocket, so it'll bounce around on that, and that's what causes those the teeth on it to get nicked up. So the way I normally find the teeth that are nicked up is I'll just take the chain once it's all the way off and just start setting the teeth in. And then when one doesn't go in all the way, like this one, that's one that's got a nick on it. Like this one, that one goes in just fine and slides just fine. Same with these other ones. This tooth, that one doesn't go in right there. Just looking at this one, you can see the back side of that tooth has got a little nick. Let's see if I can get it to focus better on it. Got a little bit of a nick just right there. And so all we'll do is we'll just file that down. Another way that I found also works pretty good for filing these down is just with a die grinder. Just got a little flap wheel on the end of here. Just set it on a real low speed and just touch that burr up a little bit. So all I'm doing is just sticking those in there and just sliding it through the bar until I find one that doesn't want to go in or slide very nicely. And then once you find it, you just grind it down a little bit. Yeah, having a little die grinder like this sure speeds the process up, just with the little flap wheel on it. I had this Milwaukee one, set to the lowest speed setting, and it worked real good just to touch up the teeth a little. I think I got them all ground down, all the little nicks on them. I don't know if that's the proper way to do that, or if you should do that or shouldn't, but it does work pretty good, and I've done it before. So yeah, when you put the chain back on, you gotta make sure you get it on the right way so that the teeth actually cut, because the saw won't cut if it runs backwards. So most chainsaws have some sort of indicator. That one right there shows you what direction the teeth go, so you always got to make sure you get the chain put on the right way. Getting the chain put back on is always a bit of a trick. You gotta make sure you get it all on there without knocking the bar off and without getting it all misaligned and everything. This one's got a little so the two bolts hold the bar on, obviously, and then this little pin right here, this screw turns it, and that's the tensioning device for this saw. This one's a little bit on the older side, not quite as nice and ergonomic as some of the newer like saws, such as a steel or one like those. But it's still, it gets the job done. Needs to be tensioned up quite a bit now. Make sure you got it on the right way and you get all the teeth in the bar. It'd also be a good idea to put a few drops of bar oil along the bar here, just to lube it up, especially after you've popped it off and there might be nicks, because chances are you didn't get it ground just right, and it'll probably wear in, and so it'll knock a couple metal chunks off. So it'd be a good idea for it to be pre-lubed before you let it rip for the first time after the mess with the chain. It'd just be a good idea to help the chain wear in without causing damage. Let's get it all nice and tight here. When you're putting it on cold, you always want to go a little bit tighter, just so that once you get going, the chain will heat up quite a bit and it'll stretch out. The chain will heat up and it'll stretch out. So usually halfway through cutting, especially if you're cutting big stuff, you'll have to tighten up the chain a little bit, just so it doesn't pop off. That was probably what got me on the big one. I just probably wasn't paying attention like I should have been. So we'll just pop this cover back on. A small arborist saw like this is designed specifically for an arborist. So it's made to be used up on a ladder or in a bucket truck, or used over your head a lot. It's actually light enough that you can operate it with a single hand. It's a little on the heavy side for that, but it is quite nice that's a feature with this one. Definitely not made for tree felling or heavy branches at all, but it handles everything up to 3 or 4 inches quite nicely. Especially if you're, like I said, if you're up on a ladder or something to that extent. Real great for pruning trees, that sort of thing. Alright, we'll give her a rip here, make sure it all goes well. Get the choke on a little bit, got it switched on. Well, seems like it's works pretty good there. Well, we got the chain all repaired on this, so that saved us from having to buy a new chain. New chains could be anywhere from 20 to 40 bucks, depending on how nice of a chain you're buying. So that little trick can save you a couple bucks, make your chain last just a little bit longer. Like I said, I'm not a professional or anything, but it does seem to work all right. I've done that trick in the past, and it does a good job. So anyway, thanks for watching.